What is going on, guys? A little bit different of commentary for you tonight. I've got my buddy Fred Wins. He runs a YouTube channel. Fred Wins, just like I said, FredWin, 2 S's is the key. Just about every day, Monday through Friday, he's out giving betting advice, sports bets, really a professional handicapper. We are going to take a little bit of time each week to sit down and talk about one specific game in the NFL. And if there's one specific game the NFL wants you to pay attention to, it's this week. Upcoming Kansas City Chiefs, Baltimore Ravens, Arrowhead Stadium. I mean, let's look at it. The Chiefs going for 3 in a row, going against former MVP. I mean, heck, you got 2 MVPs on the field, actually. You really can't set more of a grand stage to start a season than this. I don't think so. Right, Fred?
I totally agree. Game 1, probably the best game of week 1, in my opinion, other than maybe Eagles-Packers. But this is the most exciting one, right? You got Lamar Jackson looking to redeem himself and actually prove that he can win a championship against a former champ, Patrick Mahomes. So it's going to be a great game. I can't wait to get to it.
I know it's going to be one of those things where we sit back and we get to appreciate later on in life that this was history, right? You're watching 2 of the greatest quarterbacks current in their prime playing against each other in one of the most electric atmospheres you could hope for in Arrowhead. But when I look at this matchup, the Chiefs have really kept most of the roster the same. The Ravens have really tried to step up. You've got Lamar Jackson trying to lose some weight. You've got Derrick Henry coming on board. But the one thing that really concerns me, and it's a local concern too, a lot of people know I'm from Maryland, is the offensive line of the Ravens. It's just kind of scary. You let 3 linemen go. You don't really have any cohesive unit or really lineup right now. And you're going to go and play an Arrowhead, and you don't really know who's going to clear these running lanes, who's going to hold these blocks when, you've got Lamar, whether he wants to run or not. It just doesn't seem like the best way to enter this game.
I agree with you, man, and you beat me to it. Losing Moses, Simpson, and Zaylor, it's a big 3 pieces that they depend a lot on the run game. We know Lamar Jackson's a QB that likes to run, leads the league in QB rushing, and now you have 3 pieces that are new. Even though it was mentioned that they played well in the practice matches with the Packers and a couple other games, but now you're going to Arrowhead, a real game, full stadium after they won a championship. And like you said, the Chiefs have maintained majority of their players. Other than Snead, they let him go, which I thought was a little confusing, given that Snead is one of the best cornerbacks in the league. But Andy Reid knows best. He's, in my opinion, the best coach in the league right now. So I'm with you. That's the concerning part. And Henry too. Henry's an older player. I think he's going to benefit the Ravens a lot. But at the end of the day, he's been regressing over the past few seasons. So is he going to be the same Henry that we expect him to be? We're going to find out.
Well, I think a little bit of it comes down to communication, too. I mean, listen, it's not just plug and play anymore. You're going to have time to get a chemistry together, not just with the line, but even with Jackson and Henry. And that's one of the things that I really take away looking at the fact that they don't have themselves as prepared as they could. And also, you've got to understand, defensively, you might have a step back, too. I mean, Mike McDonald's left the team, and the foundation is still there, right? It's still a very good defense, a lot of young pieces, but at the same time, it would be disrespectful to who is now an NFL coach to sit there and say, okay, well, you leaving isn't going to have any meaningful impact. So to me, it just, from the offensive side and defensive side, not only do you have questions, but you have uncertainty. And I will say, for what it's worth, you mentioned Derrick Henry maybe taking a step back or two. Well, so is Travis Kelce, who is the Chiefs', I guess you could say he's at least their most consistent weapon.
Without a doubt. No, without a doubt. I definitely agree with you on that. He has been stepping down, but at the end of the day, they could utilize him in different ways. He's a great blocker. He creates space. In the beginning of the season, last season, he struggled a bit, but he showed off at the end of the season, especially the playoffs and come Super Bowl. He played a lot better than he started the season, right? Now, my concern with the Chiefs is they're going to be a little bit of a hangover, kind of like last season. Last season, they started a bit slower than usual, and then they picked it up. That's my only concern when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs. But altogether, like you said, the defense in Baltimore, they had some changes, but they're still stellar, man. You got Raekwon Smith in the back end. I think that's one of the best players in the league defensively. And altogether, I feel like this is going to be game 1. Most likely than not, in my opinion, I feel like most people are going to think this game is going to be a low-scoring game just because last couple games have been low-scoring. But I think it's going to be quite the opposite. I think Patrick Mahomes is going to come out throwing the ball well. They're probably the defensive mindset for the Ravens is most likely gonna be, in my opinion, right? This is all just opinions, that Mahomes and the Chiefs are going to be running the ball with Pacheco a lot more to start off the game. But I think the Chiefs are going to come out slinging it and trying to make a statement in this game. And especially like we've just talked about before, right? There's a lot of changes in the Ravens that they're gonna probably want to exploit right off the bat.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it is really a situation, like you said, where you have very high quality football teams. I mean, these are the two highest odds here to make it to the AFC Championship game. There's no
Mm-hmm.
question that they're both going to be contenders. It's just when you put them head to head, I would much rather see this. Maybe I know we talked about how great it is for the league, but if we could get maybe all the kinks ironed out of both teams and then see this maybe week 8, it would be fantastic. But I think just to start the season, we talked about so many different things that all kind of tilt towards the Ravens. It's not that they can't win the game. Listen, they're one of the best teams in the league, but there's just so many things working against them, offensive, defensive. Obviously, you take a look at the situation with not just, all the eyes of the sports world essentially on them, but also, like I said, I don't think you can underestimate Arrowhead is literally one of the most difficult places to play, whether Taylor Swift is there or not. It's going to be absolutely insane.
Well, if Taylor Swift is there, that's a sign to take the Chiefs. No, I'm just kidding with you. So let me ask you this out of curiosity, right? Because there's a couple questionable players for the Chiefs, right? Marquise Brown being one of them, which in my opinion, he's going to be one of their main wide receivers. Obviously, Rashid Rice too. But also Chris Jones. He's questionable. We don't know if he's going to play yet. Those are two key players, specifically Chris Jones, and we all know that, right? Will that have an effect in the game and how it ends if both these players don't play? I want to look to see if both these players play prior to really deciding on a side, even though I already have a side that I'm leaning on. But let's call it what it is. Kansas struggled without Chris Jones last season. When he was sitting out because of the whole contract situation, he came back, and he's a monster in the defensive end. He's their leader. So if he doesn't play, I'd be a little wary with this game.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that being the case, but I also think a lot of times when we talk about big moments, big time players show up in these games. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to sit there and say, that we know all, be all, and he's going to take the field. I would have a really hard time. I guess I would look at it two different ways. Number one, I'd have a really hard time thinking that if he can play, he won't. But I would also think if he doesn't play, there could be a more significant injury, because if you're not going to play week 1, then how are you going to suit up week 2? I mean, this is not by any means a must-win game, right? Someone's going to win, someone's going to lose. It's the first game of the season, but it is the time you want to come out, showcase yourself, showcase your team. And I just don't see a player like Chris Jones, unless he physically can't perform, I don't see him not coming out and taking the field.
No, I agree with you on that as a player standpoint, but you know how coaches are, right? It's game 1 of the season. They don't want to jeopardize the future because of game 1, right? So Andy Reid might make that call at the end of the day, but I agree with you. I mean, Chris Jones makes great plays, and he's a player that makes a difference in the game. Now, on the flip side, what do you think of Mark Andrews is questionable right now for the Ravens?
Well, I mean, the Ravens are a different team without him, and certainly we've seen little bursts of almost, that Travis Kelce light, if you will. I mean, he really does try to go out and perform. I personally feel like, just everything I've heard locally, Mark Andrews has put in all the work. He knows what's expected, and he plans to come out and play. So if he can't, again, kind of that same situation where, man, if he doesn't show up week 1, I really worry about week 2. But I personally, everything locally here, I've heard all signs point towards 100% Mark Andrews being, once again, a game changer for the Ravens.
That's some insider info we have over there with where you live, with Orioles and the Ravens. That's pretty cool that you get all these news and get to keep up with all this locally, right? Because everybody's talking about it specifically in those towns that revolve around football, right? So that's good to know, because he's a big piece for the Ravens in week 1.
Couldn't be more blessed to have two incredible franchises right down the road. So I guess with all that said, if you had to pick right now, who would you pick? I'm going to go with the Chiefs, just straight money line, no need to worry about it.
I'm backing you up on that. I'd take the Chiefs money line as well, based on everything we just spoke about too, right? Ravens, there's a lot of unknowns when it comes to this game. And along with that too, I look at obviously percentages of money, how this line's open and all that good stuff. 3 is a key number in football, right? If that line were to push down to 2.5, that would make me question things a little bit more. But that would only happen, in my opinion, if Chris Jones is out. Other than that, I believe -3 is a good line. And along with that too, action is coming pretty 50-50. If anything, the spread the Ravens are taking majority of the action on it, yet the line's still sitting at 3, right? So I would go with the Chiefs money line in this play as well. Mahomes looking to three-peat. I'm big on them week 1 as well.
And hey, if I'm wrong, what's fortunate for me is I get to be wrong and the home team gets to win. So it ain't really a big deal. It'll kind of be a blessing and a curse. So with that said, listen, we appreciate you guys watching this. As I said, hope to be back singling out a game each week. We'll be back as soon as we can with more commentary.
Take care, guys.